Hey, this is Mike from Muscle for Life, and in this video I want to talk about cutting, being in a calorie deficit and losing muscle. The big question that I get fairly frequently is, how do I know if I'm losing muscle when I'm cutting? And then if I am, what should I do? And I thought I'd make a good quick video. So the simplest way to know if you are losing muscle when you're cutting is what is happening in the gym. Not so much your weight, because some people lose weight and lose fat faster than others because of depends on how much water your body holds and how much glycogen you have and how is your diet low carb, high carb, and what's happening there. You may lose weight a bit faster than you expected. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're losing muscle. It doesn't necessarily mean anything bad is happening. But an easier way to know is just what's happening in the gym, what's happening in your workouts. So specifically what's happening in your weightlifting workouts. Most people are going to experience some loss of strength when they're cutting. I myself start to notice it 3 or 4 weeks into being in a deficit is when I start to notice it. But if it's negligible, so if you're losing maybe 5 pounds or maybe 10 pounds to your bigger lifts, or if you're losing a few reps, if you can work at the same weight, which you should be striving to do. When you're cutting, you don't necessarily have to just accept that you're going to get weaker and that your workouts are going to suck. You should still actually try to progress. Many times when I was cutting, I would still be progressing. I would still be making progress, especially like if I came off of a bulk. So I was, finish my bulk and then go right into a cut. There's still a bit of momentum, I guess, there built up. My whole body glycogen stores are still high. And I was still able to gain reps, and in some cases that turned into gaining weight, putting weight on the bar for the first, again, 3 or 4 weeks or so, and then I would usually, when I'd come off a bulk, then I would kind of everything would plateau. So I'd just be kind of getting the same reps every week, and the only way to get more would be to let my form fall apart. I just wasn't able to progress anymore. And so I've had that experience, and then I've also gone from just maintaining, which is just lower calorie, lower carb, then bulking, of course, into cutting. And there I noticed that I plateau usually within 2 weeks or so, 2 or 3 weeks, and around the 4 or 5 week mark is when I might see a slight decrease in reps, or a decrease in, just having to take a little bit of weight off the bar to hit my reps. And again, it's been different. The experience has been different with different cuts, and for whatever reason, sometimes it was just kind of like plateaued, and other times I lost strength within the first couple of weeks, and then it just kind of stayed there. But my point is, minor decreases in strength like that, or minor decreases in the reps that you can get with the weights that you're normally working with, that's normal, and that isn't an indication that you're losing muscle at all. What you want to look out for are more significant decreases in strength. So if you're having to drop weight by, let's say 10%, so let's say you're squatting 300 pounds and, you've been cutting for a few weeks and you're now squatting 275 and you're struggling with that. And if it's also getting progressively worse, so you're getting weaker, week after week, that is an indication that you are, that's a red flag, basically. So if that's happening and you're losing weight faster than you should be, which, if we were just to throw out some kind of broad rules of thumb, if you're a guy at, let's say, 15% body fat, and you're cutting from there, you could probably lose 2 pounds a week in the beginning, but you want that to level out to about 1 pound a week. If you're at 10% body fat wanting to get really lean, then you should probably be looking for something closer to 0.5 pound to 1 pound a week, depending on how you're training and what kind of supplements you're taking. Like, are you doing fasted training? Are you also supplementing with yohimbine on top of that and caffeine and stuff? Are you doing things to, get as much fat loss as you can out of your workouts, or are you just in a calorie deficit training would make a difference there between maybe 0.5 pound to 1 pound a week. If you're a girl, those numbers would apply. So I'd say if you're 25% and up, 2 pounds a week or so in the beginning is normal. But again, within your first month or so, you want to see it come down to about 1 pound a week. And if you're a girl at 20% looking to get very lean, again, you're kind of looking at the 0.5 pound to 1 pound a week. So if you are, let's say you're a girl at 20% and you're losing 3 pounds a week, and your workouts, you're noticing large decreases in strength or reps in the gym. When I say reps, this is where strength training is another benefit of strength training, in that you're going to see, if you were doing a bunch of high rep stuff, you will see a noticeable decrease in your muscle endurance, just because your muscle glycogen levels are going to be lower. that wouldn't necessarily indicate a loss of strength. But if you are training with heavier weights, which don't pull as heavily on glycogen stores, don't rely as heavily on glycogen stores. If so, let's say you're training in the 4 to 6 rep range, or even 6 to 8 or 5 to 7 rep range. If you're seeing, if you're having to drop weight a lot just to even stick in those, just to maintain those rep ranges, plus you're losing weight very quickly, those are really the red flags that would indicate muscle loss. And the reason why this would be happening, there are several reasons. You could be eating too little protein, which I'll link an article down below, which breaks down how much protein you should be eating to build muscle, to maintain muscle when you're cutting. You could be eating too little carbohydrate. Again, I'll link an article down below that explains how that could affect things. Low carb dieting is not good for preserving muscle when you're in a calorie deficit. It's not good for building muscle. It's really not good for much of anything unless you have a physical condition that necessitates it, or if your body just doesn't do well with higher carb diets, which again I'll link an article down below so you can just read about it in depth and see why really see why I say that. And another common reason why, and again I should say that I've worked now with thousands of people. I've emailed with tens of thousands of people. And for the most part, these are people that have been following my advice for diet and training. And I could probably count on one hand the number of instances that I've run into where people have really had issues with muscle loss while cutting, because generally they just kind of follow my advice and it goes well. So the most common reasons why, though, and just the handful of people that I can at least think of off the top of my head, were the too little protein, too little carbs, and too much cardio. So my general position on cardio is you should keep it to a minimum, and you should do just as much as what's needed to reach your goals. And again, I'll link an article down below that kind of lays all that out, and how do you determine how much cardio should you be doing, and also what type of cardio you should be doing. My position on that is basically you should either be doing primarily just high intensity work, sprints and stuff, which again, I'll link an article down below on that specifically if you want to learn more about that specifically. And so either do, the vast majority of your cardio work is just going to be high intensity work, in which case you're doing maybe an hour, 2 hours per week, or very low intensity like walking. And I will link an article down below where I explain why that is. I want to keep this video short. So if you're interested in that, then you can just go, read up on it and see why I say those things. So that's it. I hope you found this video helpful, and see you in the next one.